Hello everybody and welcome to my February blog. I'm here in Strasbourg. Unusually for me, I didn't arrive until Wednesday morning. The reason for that is I've been in Birmingham at the National Farmers Union conference. And that's been really interesting because obviously I believe that farming and agricultural and environmental issues are extremely important to us in the southwest. And the conference really was dominated by flooding. Not surprisingly, we've all seen the pictures, and of course many of you will be listening to me from your own homes and your own areas which have been flooded. And for any of you who have been, please accept my sympathies. And what am I doing about it? Well, as I said at the Farmers Union this week, I really don't want to be another one of those politician welly tourists. I have been down to the levels, I have had a look and I have met with people, but it wasn't a photo opportunity. It was actually a real opportunity for me to get to understand what was happening. And the single most important thing I can do, I think, is to persuade the government that it's a good idea to make an application through the European Solidarity Fund, which you must think of as a sort of insurance fund. We've paid into it, and there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't make an application to get some money out of it, and that's what I'm encouraging ministers to do. As of yet, I haven't yet heard whether they're going to do that, but we will keep pushing them for it. Last time in 2007 we got about £140 million for flood relief, and that's not to be sniffed at. I know in these days of talking of trillions it might not sound so much, but you can do a hell of a lot locally with that sort of money, and I've had lots of letters from people all over the place asking for help. So I talked a bit about flooding obviously at the National Farmers Union, but I also was talking a bit about the work that I'm doing here in the Parliament. One of the things they're interested in is a rather boring sounding package called official controls, but this is all about food fraud. This is about how we're going to shorten our supply chains, ensure that the food that you buy is packaged and labelled as, say, beef actually is beef and it's not horse or goat or something else. And this has come up the political agenda very rapidly in the last few months. And one of the things which I'm working on at the moment is there has been some amendments by some European countries to say we should be making farmers and abattoirs pay the costs of inspection. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you all know as well as I do, if that's the case, then you'll end up paying for it in the supermarket. And in the UK, we have a perfectly good system that's state funded. We pay for it through our taxes already, so I see no reason why we should pay for it through our food prices too, just because in other countries in Europe they're not as good at it as we are. So I'm fighting that corner at the moment. So having arrived in Strasbourg, we voted on one interesting thing to talk about, I think, is the Tobacco Products Directive. You probably thought that was done and dusted because I spoke about it here a while ago. But when we went into trilogue negotiations, we discovered that the rapporteur, who happens to be a Labour MEP from Yorkshire, decided to make some changes, and Parliament had voted that e-cigarettes, these are when you see these people vaping, with the electrical cigarettes, that they should be regulated in a quite draconian way. Now, Parliament didn't want that. Parliament said, look, these are new things. We should look at these entirely separately. They should be outside of the TPD, the Tobacco Products Directive, and we should be looking at them as a separate entity. And that's what we, the ECR, wanted. And today we finally had our last chance to actually put that into effect. We didn't get it through, I'm really sorry to say. I've met a lot of people who use these e-cigarettes. I've never used one myself. I have smoked proper cigarettes in the past, but I gave up a long time ago. I've never used an electronic one, but I know from a number of people they do find it very helpful. So it seems to me ridiculous to medicalise it so that you're going to have to go to the doctors possibly and get a prescription. That seems completely over the top. So unfortunately we didn't get it through. Liberal Democrats and Labour members did not support it. But more shockingly, given the fuss they've made about it, neither did UKIP. In fact, as I was just about to vote on that particular report, the UKIP members behind me got up and said, oh, well, we voted on half, because in order to get your expenses for the day, you have to vote on half the recorded votes. We've already gone past the halfway mark, so they were going. So they actually left, which I think is pretty disgraceful. And as we're coming up to elections now, I take no great pleasure in saying that. I wish that all South West MEPs were pulling together, but some of us do a little more than others, and that's the way it's always going to be, I guess. So I'm afraid that's a little bit of a failure there on the tobacco products, but if we'd had support from other British MEPs, I think we could have got it through. So I'm going to sign off now. It's very mild here in Strasbourg, a bit like the UK. We don't seem to have had a winter here yet. Had no snow at all this year. So maybe when I speak to you in March, it'll be from a snowy Strasbourg. I don't know. I hope not. Speak to you then. Thank you.